All right, we're back on Media Row, brought to you by Toyota, and we are here in our Lazy Boy recliners. Long live the lazy, and I'm being lazy with Guy Haberman. Guy,
And I'm being lazy.
great to see you.
Great to see you.
So, interesting season for you. Probably extraordinarily bittersweet calling those 49er games in place of our good friend Greg Papa. But what was the experience like?
I called some of the best games I've ever called, and you're right. I mean, it was great that Greg was able to get back for the last regular season game. He didn't get a touchdown, San Francisco, which was not right.
No.
And maybe if the Niners had advanced, there was a point where you thought, well, the Super Bowl's here, but they couldn't do that. That'd make it easy for Greg to do the game.
And then at some point you thought, well, maybe they can do that.
And then you thought, well, maybe they can do that. They win in Philly. You're like, well, but it was great. Greg, the thing that made it great was people like you were great. Greg was great. The Niners were great. So, everybody made it easy for me.
What was a new perspective for you? Sinking your teeth into the game prep and then calling the games. What kind of stood out to you as you reflect back on the season?
Well, I'd always been jealous of my buddies who do the NFL because I would, as someone who does a lot of college football, I would say to them, like, every 54 has been 54 on the defense for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
You don't have to memorize any names, that sort of thing. Radio was different. I hadn't done that in forever. So that was an adjustment for me, right? Going from television to radio and just trying to say more and then maybe say less and then just say it quicker and vary the way you describe things and all that. But it was just fun. It was fun, especially the home games are admittedly fun because the highlight, the moment has like such a big crowd behind it, and that was cool. And then I also think, Matt, like the community aspect of doing a team's games, I'm so used to doing. I'm the neutral party doing a game. This team wins, great. This team loses, fine, whatever. But it's a very different sense of community when you're calling the games of a team. For an area where I live, that's really fun.
Yeah, you call games for the Big Ten Network.
Right.
I bother you with text messages every time I see you on TV. And
you watched a game on Peacock the other day?
I did watch a game on Peacock. Was that the double overtime, triple overtime game, or
should have gone? Yeah, double.
Double. It should have gone
Indiana,
triple.
UCLA.
Yeah, but there was a bad call there at the end. Anyway,
that's not what we're here to talk
about. That's college basketball. Yeah.
That's Matt's other show.
Where do the 49ers need to go in 2026 to be not here in San Francisco, but down the coast at SoFi Stadium in early February?
I think it starts with defense. It starts with, and unfortunately, I think there's a lot of areas that we could identify.
Yeah.
Another linebacker maybe, another safety maybe, another corner maybe, more defensive line. Yeah, it starts up front. You need Bosa and Michael healthy.
Yeah.
I thought Keon White looked like a guy as he played, like, okay, that's a useful piece next year. But, I think you think back of anybody. The Seahawks team's a great example. The great Niner teams have been all the way back to 1981. Like, it starts when the defense starts rolling. And, I think that was missed. Like, it's fun to score a lot of points and have the number one offense and all that. But, I think sometimes those numbers get accumulated with all due respect, when you're playing the Colts. And it's a different animal when you're playing in Philly or you're playing in Seattle. And that's where the defense comes into play.
And, the offense was good, but it was a different kind of offense. Their inability to run the ball consistently, even with Christian McCaffrey having a NFL Offensive Player of the Year caliber season, they weren't a very good running team.
Yeah.
That just confused me.
I know. Well, how many yards per carry did he end up with?
3.5? Like 3.8, I think.
3.8. It's the greatest 3.8 I've ever seen. I mean, really, like, I thought every game we did or watched, like, God, Christian was incredible today. And then you check the box score, like 2.9.
Yeah.
But it'd be 73 yards. 70 of them came after contact,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. Like, I just thought at times offensively, their ability to score in the red zone really made a big difference.
Yeah.
But do they have a number one receiver? Do they have a number two receiver? There's a lot of stuff. I do think in some ways you look back and go, how did they do this?
Yeah.
And maybe part of it was the schedule, but the schedule turned out to be, in practice, a little harder than it was on paper. I think I think everybody, when they lose in the second round, you start nitpicking 15 things. The reality is you fix like half of them and you're in pretty good shape.
Well, they looked, in the divisional round, they looked so far behind Seattle.
Yeah.
But yet, last game of the regular season, they lost by 10 points, and they didn't play well.
Yeah.
And they could have easily, scored a touchdown. You talk about the red zone, that pick inside the 5-yard line. So there was actually a part of me that thought after the Eagles game, like, they have a chance to go up there and win.
Yeah.
But then they just looked like they were spent, didn't they? They just looked like they were heavy-legged, that they just had given it all they had, and they had run out of gas.
Yeah. And, how many hits can you really take on defense? One after the other, after the other, after the other. It's in terms of pressure, what is it, the worst defense historically, 20 sacks to go to the playoffs, let alone win a playoff game? It's incredible because they won games on defense. They won the Seahawks game early, week 1, thanks to Bosa. They won the overtime game against the Rams on defense. They won the Bears game on defense. But you've got to be able to do a little bit of intimidation on defense.
I just wonder, 49ers were 13-4. They finished one game behind Seattle. But yet, we've talked about some of their flaws. So are they really close, or do they have a lot of work to do?
They got a lot of work to do, but whoever wins, if Seattle wins the Super Bowl this week, they're going to start at square one again next year too. They don't get to start 2 games better, and I would imagine Sam Darnold is going to want a new contract, and these things are really cyclical, and one injury or you get healthy and they get somebody hurt, and it definitely feels like, and even that Week 18 game, it's like, God, these guys, I'm not saying they're the Legion of Boom, but holy smokes, they're flying, and they're running the ball down your throat with haymakers. But I do think that gap can close really quickly in the NFL too.
It is amazing. I mean, I just remember thinking, as did everybody, when the Lions blew that 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, everybody thought, well, they'll be back.
Right.
They're building. This was a year before they should be good. As it turns out, they haven't won a playoff game the last 2 years.
Yep.
This year, they didn't even get into the playoffs. So you just never know.
You never know. And I do think your quarterback continuing to develop is a big part of it. But Patrick Mahomes missed the playoffs, and Josh Allen didn't get to the Super Bowl. And, there are so many things. I think you start, and it's similar to this last year. It'll be the same. It starts with Bosa and Warner's, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy's health, Christian McCaffrey's health, George Kittle's health. It is still going to start and end with that.
Yeah, and getting them healthy, keeping them healthy, and as we've seen with Seattle, peaking at the right time, because Seattle's playing its best football of the season. In
I didn't
January.
think they could do it.
I didn't think they could do it until about the last 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season, when I thought, oh my gosh, they're getting better and better and better. And as good as the Rams were, it just kind of seemed like they leveled off.
Yeah.
They weren't a bad team ever. They weren't. I won't say they were even going downhill, but it just felt like they were playing at kind of a consistent level where Seattle was just constantly on the rise.
Yeah, nobody else really stepped up and took it.
No.
In the league, in the whole league.
Yeah. In fact, you could make the argument based on the 49ers Week 17 win that the 3 best teams in the NFC were in the NFC West.
You could make that argument. It's a good argument. I would,
a strong argument.
Yeah, I think the Rams
in
were
fact,
the
it would be
favorite
hard
for the long
to
time.
dispute that.
Yeah, who would you say was better than the 49ers? Packers?
It would be the Bears, and the 49ers beat the Bears.
Right. Now, if they play that game 10 times, I don't know.
Yeah, and we know 49ers, they beat the Eagles, so it wasn't the Eagles.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I don't think it'll be the Eagles next year.
Yeah.
Will it be the Bears next year?
Again?
That's where I think they are still right back in it all over again.
Yeah, I think so too. Hey, Guy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Matt. Do I take a chair home with me?
We'll wait a couple days.
Okay.
We still got some more
I'll get
guests
you my
lined up.
address.
Yeah.